hear the story again. So who was it? Sam's not here. She's Samantha. She was the one who suggested Lakshmi. But she's not here. So we're gonna have to tell her. If you see her,
she was
tell her your Lakshmi story.
Helping a lady have a baby.
Oh my goodness! No way! Okay.
Liz Damiano.
I want you right front and center. So, I've been really into all the different goddesses lately, and especially feeling like in this critical time that we're in, socially and politically and everything, how important it is to honor the divine feminine. And what happens, there's so many interesting stories in Hindu mythology about what happens when you don't honor the divine feminine. So I'll tell you a couple of those today, little warning tales. and there's also a lot of stories in Hindu mythology that are very much like the wild primal woman has to be calmed down. So I'm not going to tell you those stories today. I feel like we have to change that story. And the myths are so wonderful just because they evolve. They have to evolve a little bit. They always, like if our yoga practice, if we were doing the same exact yoga that they were doing 100 years ago, it just wouldn't fit our lifestyle and our bodies. And so now we do hot yoga and play music, and it's evolving to fit us. And so the stories that I tell are the same way. Like we can't just keep telling the same story over and over again. It's got to evolve to fit the times and to fit the needs of us as modern yogis. So some of the stories I'm going to tell you, I've changed a little bit. And I've made them more girl power. Because we need that. We need more girl. We're all girls. So the goddesses are really fun to work with because they're all different parts of ourselves. And so we're going to talk today about Lakshmi and Saraswati and Radha and Parvati. And which one is your Parvati?
Parvati also.
Yeah. So they're really similar. Lakshmi and Parvati, they both have that like sort of the Lakshmi and Parvati both are. They're women who enter into relationship with a partner, with a husband, with any kind of partner, and never lose their independence.
And I love how Lakshmi tells Krishna to go scratch, because she's like, you're married, and go away, and I'm gonna be with Brahma. So
And then this is Radha. There's Radha too, and then Lakshmi, Radha, Saraswati, and Parvati. Yeah, those are the main four. And so you can find them all inside yourself in different, some days you'll feel more Lakshmi, and other days you'll feel more Saraswati. But usually there's one that you're like, oh, that is so me. And sometimes we're too much one way, and we need to cultivate the other ones because we can get really stuck in our habits, right? And so it's also good to use these goddesses as inspiration. Like if we are really stuck in one particular groove of being, and maybe we want to be more like Lakshmi, and then we can do Lakshmi mantras, and we can think about Lakshmi and do meditations on Lakshmi to increase that power in us, or Parvati, or whatever it is that you want. So we're going to start first with just a few Oms. So you can sit up nice and tall, and drop into your heart. Drop out of the busyness of the mind, into the sweet fields of the heart. Imagine your heart like a garden full of every different colored wildflower. You can use your breath, drop it right in there, like sweet spring rain. And let it water all those flowers. Take 3 Oms, so take a big inhalation. consciousness, which is represented as Shiva, that's the male encoded energy. And when I talk about male and female, like this is Yoga 101. We all know this, you're not your body, right? We gotten that far in yoga, you're not your body, you're not even your mind. And so when I talk about male, female, I'm not talking about your body, I'm talking about what's inside. And so we all have this masculine encoded energy inside of us. And then there's Shakti. And Shakti is the divine feminine. And there's both of them. There's got to be both of them, because without both of them, nothing works. So Shiva energy, the masculine energy, is that pure consciousness. They say Shiva, he's like just the ultimate bad boy, really. That's why all the girls loved him. He had long dress, he didn't care what anybody thought. He would just go and meditate, and like Parvati would try desperately to get his attention, and he'd just be like, whatever. Right? He's that pure consciousness. But it's got to do something. You can't just sit there forever. Like, we have lives and we're in this world, right? So we have to participate in the world. And so Shakti is the animation of that pure consciousness. So without the Shakti, pure consciousness is pretty much useless. It's got to move and grow and have fun and play. So Shakti really is what gets consciousness to play in the world. And that Shakti shows up in all these different ways. So that's what we're going to talk about today. How is my Shakti showing up? So Shakti shows up in one way as Lakshmi. And Lakshmi, do you know what she is? She's the goddess with all the coins pouring from her hand. She's the goddess of wealth and abundance. And she's the one that, when there was a sage, Durvasa, and this sage was really, really wise, and he went deep, deep, deep into meditation. And when he awoke out of his meditation, right in front of him there was a garland of lotus flowers. They call Lakshmi Padma, she's the lotus. Beautiful pink lotus flowers, like the most incredible flowers you could ever imagine. Just one of their blossoms would intoxicate all of Orange County with its scent. That's how amazing they were. And he saw when the sage awakens, now he's been in meditation a long time, so he's really dirty. He's dirty, there's like leaves in his hair, he's disgusting, bugs are crawling on him. You know, imagine, like, they even said that a whole hill of ants formed over him at one point, and like, so pretty gross, right? But really powerful dude, really powerful sage. So he's sitting there, he opens his eyes, and there's this garland of lotus flowers. And he knows, it's come to him in his heart, in his meditation, that this garland represents Lakshmi. And what Lakshmi is the fertility of the universe. She's the abundance of sweetness and fertile grace. She's like moist soil after a spring rain. She's like silk and cashmere. You know, she's like the blue skies when they get those big white fluffy clouds. That's Lakshmi. And so he sees this garland and he thinks, what a blessing this is, that Lakshmi manifested as this garland. And he wants to give it to Indra, who's the king of the gods. Now Indra, and if you can think of, you might know somebody like this, Indra is the king of the gods. He's a total narcissist. He's got this huge ego. Right? You can think of somebody, I'm sure. Now these stories too, when you hear all these stories, remember they take place on different levels. So they take place in your heart. So that's where all the characters are you. And so when you hear them, it might strike you there, where you see yourself in the shadow side, and you see yourself in everything, in the flowers, and the sun, and the moon. They take place on a smaller level, like within our own very personal relationships, and our families, like our most intimate people. And then they take place in the bigger societal level, and our bigger communities, and the world stage level. And so you can kind of hear it and think about all three of those different ways that it manifests. So Indra, back to Indra, total egomaniac. And what he loves more than anything is people telling him what a good job he's been doing. How he wants big crowds. He just wants everyone adoring him. And what he really wants is only okay when everybody's telling him, oh, you're so amazing, you're so amazing. So one day he's really feeling himself. He's like, I'm doing such a good job being the king of the gods. I think I should throw myself a party. So he throws himself a parade. Just because he's just feeling himself that day. He wants everybody to be like, yes, Indra, you're the best. So he throws himself a parade, and everybody's all lined up on the streets, and he gets on his big elephant. And then he's walking through the town, and he's just like, yep, that's me. And Durvasa, the sage who's just come out of his meditation, wants to give him this garland, and so he goes to the parade. Now he looks like a crazy person. So he brings this garland to Indra, and this garland that represents all the sweetness. It represents that feminine energy, the divine, sacred, fertile sweetness of the world. And he gives it to Indra, and Indra kind of doesn't even look at him, just grabs it. Elephant keeps going. Indra tosses the garland onto the elephant without even looking at it. And the elephant, knowing that this is a not okay. And animals are wise beings, right? And all these stories, there's always animals. And the animals are always really wise. And this wise elephant knows that that was not nice what he did. So the elephant flings the garland off and begins to stomp on it, just to show Indra what's what. Now the sage, Durvasa, is watching all of this, and he's pissed. Like, how this was so sacred that he meditated for thousands of years to get this garland, and Indra just tosses it aside. And so the sage tells Indra, listen, what you did, that was the divine feminine. So you dishonoring Lakshmi and the divine feminine like that, all the grace is going to leave your kingdom. All the sweetness is going to go. And so it does. Pretty soon all the flowers wither and fall off the trees, and all the people start fighting with each other, and all in all the different municipalities, all of the leaders are just leading with this iron hand, this iron fist, and they're taxing their people, and they're not giving them anything in return, and parents are being awful with their children. So all the sweetness has left the world. And they all the gods go to Vishnu. Vishnu's like, just the one who's like the dad, like I'm 40 and I still go to my dad if like something goes wrong with my car, like, Dad, how do I change the tire? That's Vishnu. He's that kind of energy. And so they all go like, hey, help. And Vishnu, he's Lakshmi's consort. So he knows her. And he's like, I know where she went. Lakshmi doesn't throw a fit. Lakshmi's not like Radha throws fits. Radha freaks out and like screams and yells. Lakshmi doesn't do that. She just quietly backs away. So when she's dishonored, when that divine feminine, that abundance is dishonored, she backs away and she folds herself back into the cosmic ocean. And then you have to work really, really hard to get her back. So that's when all the gods had to work with the demons. So the shadow and the light had to work together. And by the way, the demons always outnumber the gods, like not by a few, by matrices. And they always have a mustache. Fact. Not just any mustache, too, one of those big long. So when you're reading books, or if you see images or something, if you're Wikipediaing these stories, you'll know the demons because they have big mustaches. So they have to work together to churn the ocean. So they're churning, they put a mountain in the ocean and they churn and churn and churn. First thing that comes out is not Lakshmi, it's poison. Right? And so they have to deal with this poison, which Shiva takes and holds in his throat. And then finally she emerges from the ocean, Lakshmi. And when she does, she starts rising. And the ocean is milk. Right? Milk is, it's milk, which is so feminine, right? It's that idea of nourishment. And so she rises out of this ocean of milk, flanked by two white elephants on either side of her. And she's riding a beautiful pink lotus. And she's just shimmering. She is just light and golden and silk. She's Beyonce. She's Beyonce, or she's like, she's Michelle Pfeiffer. Like that, like, whoa, you just can't even believe how shiny they are. And it's the shiny that comes from the inside because they're just so feminine. And so just generous and sweet, just full of that sweetness, like the ripest, juiciest peach, right? You can probably imagine like the inside of Beyonce is just like So, and she's decorated too. She's got bangles and she's got big, beautiful gold earrings and she's got bells on her ankles and diamonds and rubies because she's abundance. She can give you all of that, but only if you work hard, right? She has no patience for people who are just like, okay, Lakshmi, give me the money.
Right.
No time for that. You gotta put some effort in, like when they churned, this was serious. They really had to work their butts off to get her to come out. And so Lakshmi comes out, and the moment she does, of course, everyone falls in love with her. Lakshmis are like that. Lakshmi people are the ones that everybody just wants to be around, right? You know those people, like they just have this like sparkly magnetism. They just kind of shine and then they draw people to them. That's Lakshmi. And so everybody's like, oh, I want you. And she looks at her Vishnu. And she walks, and I'm sure she swaggers. I don't think she just walks. I think Lakshmi has like a swagger. And the moment she takes Vishnu's hand, the whole world bursts into flowers. Yeah, so that's Lakshmi. Any Lakshmis in the house?
You.
Here's the funny thing about the Lakshmi though, is I think that women are very hesitant to say yes on the Lakshmi. Don't you think so?
Yeah.
I think that we have a hard time.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, hi, I'm Lakshmi.
Yeah,
What's
I'm
up?
sexy, I'm generous.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I'm glowing. You should see my glow. It's really hard. I was told many years ago by a man who divines that. Like, he looks at you and tells you who your Ishtadevata is, who your one is. And he told me Lakshmi, and I was like, oh, hell no.
No, but that's not true, Kelly.
I still don't know. I don't feel her.
No.
I know. But it's interesting, isn't it? I think we all do have her. We all have her in us, and maybe we want more of that, or maybe we have a lot of it, and it's hard for us to see it. And that's why these stories are good too, because it's like a mirror. They hold a mirror up in front of you, where you can really look, and you've got to be honest about it. You know, if we try to hide our Lakshmi-ness, that's not doing anybody any good. It's okay to be a luscious, fertile, generous, gorgeous, shiny goddess. Do you like getting dressed up sometimes? Yeah, okay. Hi, Lakshmi. That's it. That when you go on a date and you're like, like, so, yeah, this. So I was like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna wear this
so
today. I tried on like 5 different outfits before I came
Yeah.
here. I had velvet overalls on. Right? That's Lakshmi. Then you put some effort into it. That's Lakshmi. And when you're generous with your time, that's Lakshmi. When you're generous with when you really look at someone in the eyes in a loving way, that's Lakshmi. So we all have that, and I think it's okay to embrace it. So that's the one kind of feminine. And Parvati, she's a little bit like that too. Parvati is the one, so Shiva went into deep meditation one time because he was really sad. And nobody could get to him. And this is like that bad boy story where he's just like, in the loincloth, all dirty, like dude meditating on a hill. And here comes Parvati, and she's like, he's been in her heart since she was a little baby, and she just wants him so badly. But when you remember, this is happening in your heart. So if it's just a story about a girl pining for a guy, gone, right? That's so boring. We don't need that story, right? And so Shiva representing that part of ourselves, like connecting to our own best nature, connecting to your spiritual practice, connecting to your yoga practice, right? Shiva could represent your yoga practice, or there's some longing, you have some longing. That's why you do yoga, right? Because you have some longing, like there's something out there. There's something more than just the mundane, everyday stuff. And so Parvati longs for that so badly, and Shiva represents that longing. And so she does not give up. And even at one point, she's sitting there and she's meditating too, because she